Sacred Foundation's July reading, July 2022. I'm so excited to be here with my good friend and sister, co-creator, Jill Chesrow. Welcome, Jill. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to sit with you again. Really love this
We had a
space.
good sitting. Yes, we had such a good sitting yesterday. We had an intimate circle, an intimate group when we did our Sacred Foundations play shop. And I have to say, I feel like it was so incredibly powerful and beautiful. And it was so invigorating to work with you in that capacity, for our energies to come together for the highest and greatest good of those that sat with us. Beautiful. Thank you for allowing me that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it really is just something that brings me so much joy in this lifetime, to sit with like-minded people and to just be present and witness the awesomeness that we all are in divine truth. So it doesn't always feel that way, for sure, but just the radiance of people on this journey, especially, you know, whether they're in the beginning stages of awakening or they've been on the awakening path for a while. Just such awesomeness in the beautiful souls of the women that showed up yesterday. So if you are watching this video, thank you for showing up yesterday. That was awesome. All right, shall we dive in? I'm excited. There's a lot going on.
Yes, me too. Yes.
So here's what I want to say to those who are new to Sacred Foundations. So Julia and I are using the decks Awakening to Your Divine Self. And here, the Awakening to Your Divine Self deck. And then the other deck we are using is the Priestesses of the New Earth deck. Julia and I are both co-creators of this deck, along with a bunch of other amazing women who are artists and healers. And each artist healer brought through their sacred image and the sacred message that goes with it. So it was a truly collaborative deck. There's a lot of amazing, beautiful energies in it, a lot of wisdom to be gleaned in the wisdom and the insight of the women. For the purposes of this reading, for the most part, Julia and I will just go intuitively off of the cards, the energies that we're feeling in the collective space of building a sacred foundation, and what information is available to us for the month of July 2022. However, whenever you come across this video, the information's pertinent, because this is a holographic universe. Time is quantum, happening in the now moment. So while yes, July 2022 is when we're doing it and what we're focusing on, it really just is out there in the ethers for whenever it is time for you to hear this wisdom. And then you take what resonates with you, implement it in your life, and move forward on your sacred foundation, whether you're building it, deepening it, expanding it. We use a 5-card reading in a spread called the Cross of Truth. This is one of my favorite spreads because it gives you a lot of insight, gives you helpful energy information, and then it gives you obstacle energy as well. And oftentimes, not always, the helpful energy card could be the remedy to the obstacle card, but we read the cards in relation to each other. So the very first card is the theme of this month, or the theme of this reading. And the, guess I should show the picture, shouldn't I? Give me 1 second here so you know what we're talking about. Okay, you can see the cards, yes?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So the very first card, so the theme of this month, this reading is Birthing Wild. And Julia's face lit up when she saw this card, and then the rest of the cards as they unfolded. So Jules, I'm throwing it to you if you want to catch that ball.
Yeah. All right. Do you want me to just do a full reading that's coming through for me, and then I'll pass it back to you, or do we want to do one card at a time? what feels good to you right now?
Yeah, for this one, for this type of reading with these cards, I would love for you to go through the entire reading. I do want to say one thing though that I didn't mention. So this is typically a 5-card reading. The first card is Birthing Wild. The second card is She Triumphant. The third card is Believe in Sisterhood. The Obstacle Energy 4th card is Waiting. And then the 5th card is Rebirth. But you might say, hey, there are 6 cards there. Why? And that is because in a different card spread, there's the Celtic cross. And you'll notice that they have a card crossing another card in that spread. In the way that this card is revealed, because again, we're doing this intuitively, this card came to cross this card, which is already the hopes and or fears, oftentimes both, of how you really feel about the base card, which is Birthing Wild. So stick with me here. So the Bravery card kind of pops out of the deck to cross over this She Triumphant. And this is going to end up being very significant. So I just wanted you to know that's how we ended up with an extra card, and the position that that card ended up being in was crossing the She Triumphant. So I'll interpret it one way, Julia will interpret it her way, and they will mesh in a way that makes sense or not to you. Okay, now go ahead, Jules. Thank you for allowing me that space to explain that.
Yes, no, thank you for explaining. So the first thing I want to say is that while all of our readings are for everyone, this one really has a strong divine feminine essence to it. And as I say that, we all have the masculine and feminine within us. It's a dance, it's a harmony. And I don't want anyone to overthink what I just said, or just to allow it to land where it needs to land. But this feels really like divine feminine and great mother. And so I just needed to just say that. Yes. And why I got so excited with Birthing Wild was because when I shuffled my deck, and I work with the 2 decks together most all the time. I shuffled, I cut, I did what I felt good, spread them out and pulled 1 and 3. I pulled cards 1, 3, and 5. When it came to 5, I pulled out a card and it was like, no, you need to reshuffle again. And when I reshuffled, that was so beautiful because this is Birthing Wild, and then Rebirth came in. So we have our theme of Birthing Wild and the outcome as Rebirth. So just that alone, you could let that sit with you. And I think that is very, very powerful. So the Birthing Wild card, which is the theme, the present theme, the present overtone right now, is there's a lot of flourishing going on. We're in summertime in this part of the world, and I'm looking out my windows here, and I live kind of tucked in, and everything is green and lush in the Pacific Northwest, leaves everywhere. And this really reminds me of that. And I have the gift of looking out at nature herself and reminding that she is wild right now. Tucked away, I also have a doe, and I thought she had 1 fawn and she has 2. Again, they're wild out there. She hears me and she comes out in the morning, we make eye contact, it's wild. There's a birthing wild, and the invitation is what's birthing wild within you. And we might not even know that, but this reading is going to invite you to go into that. So the first thing is what's birthing wild within you? That is the present theme. Also taking note that we are in Cancer season still, which I won't go into all of that, but that also is coming up for me in this card, and the characteristics of the season. So the second card, which is the helpful energy or your fears, as Jill explained, 2 came out, and Jill pulled the 2nd and the 4th card.
Wait, can I just say one thing?
She triumphed. Yes.
So it's hopes and or fears. If I said helpful energy before, that was my bad. I'm so sorry. The 4th card.
Did I say helpful energy?
That's what I
Hopefully.
heard. Whether that
Okay,
maybe I
sorry.
just heard it, I don't know. I thought that's what I heard.
And that could very well be. And maybe there's something behind that as well. Maybe that's where bravery's coming in also. So thank you, Jill. It is the hopes and fears card. So she triumphs. I want to read what and I know Jill just said, well, we just kind of go off the cards, but there's something very powerful in this one. Because this is actually saying that all of us, every individual, accesses with courage and bravery, again, here comes bravery, and some vulnerability, our guides, our angels. We're in prayer, we're in contemplation, we're in meditation, we're accessing the embodiment of who we are. And from that embodiment, from that connection with nature, we are we're always receiving information from the divine, whatever the divine looks like, feels like, whoever that is to you. And it does, at this point, I believe, require a little bit of vulnerability and bravery. It requires bravery. And I love the sun above her. I love that when you look at the colors of these cards, they're very much blue and green, and this one pops out with the yellows and the reds. This is engaging all of the chakra system and inviting us to go into, again, within our own centers, within our own vortexes, within our own energetic body, the energetic field as well. And that is not just inside of us, it's also in our auric field. And how do we bring that all together? So when we're in communication with our higher self, the divine, whatever that is for you with nature, it's coming through not just here, but we're embodying our auric field. It's penetrating the whole of us. And how do we begin to connect and weave that together? The third card is the helpful energy card. Am I correct this time?
Yes, you
I
are.
feel like yes, the helpful energy.
I don't,
And this is believe in sisterhood.
You just go into such intuitive mode that I love it. I love it. You're like, yeah, positions, they're important, but I'm going in.
I'm going in anyways. But believing in sisterhood, I think this is the helpful energy is, and I have said this since 2018, 2019, find your circle, your connection, those that you can gather with, those that you can turn to for support. And that might be family, it might be groups and organizations, but there is a sifting, and Jill and I have talked about this for years. There is a sifting going on where you land in your group, your gathering, your circle of like-minded individuals where you can be vulnerable, where you can sit together and pray. You can meditate together. You can laugh and party together, but they've got your back and you've got theirs. It is so important right now to have community that you can reach out to and say, hey, I'm going through this. And oftentimes just being with them and voicing, knowing that it's safe, it's not going to leave that container of sisterhood, is all it takes. They're holding it. Are you holding it for others? I think this is so helpful right now as we're moving forward on the planet at this time. The obstacle card is waiting, and what it's saying for me is, one, what are you waiting for? And two, don't be too anxious to jump out there. Feel through it. Also, waiting in nature. So nature is coming up again. So we have this birthing wild in nature. And this lovely card has this person in nature with all the elements present. She's naked, vulnerable, right there. And what does nature have to tell you? Maybe this is an invitation right now for you to go out and take a walk, to be amongst nature. be aware of snakes scurrying off the path as you walk by. Listen carefully to doe and fawn, maybe hearing the coyotes howl at night or the mighty bullfrog. Maybe it's the singing of the birds in the morning and the invitation for you to go out and sing with them. Maybe that waiting is just listening. How does it land within you as you are embodying that? Or are you waiting too long? Like, right? Knowing when it's time to act and move forward. Whew. And then the outcome card is rebirth. And I almost feel like I don't need to say anything about this. It's as you go through the process of birthing wild, whether it be in a season, a month, a day, and you're in your own flow, you're in your own knowing, you're in your own element, and you step close to the edge. You push yourself a little bit more to that vulnerable point of where can I explore, where can I be curious next? I believe it brings you to a rebirth. And I think, as with nature, we're all going through that rebirth. I brought up snake because with snake, if snake did not shed her skin, she'd be confined. It would be incredibly more painful to stay in that confinement. When you look at nature, it's incredibly more painful to stay in a bud than it is to trust and open up into that rebirth, right? The caterpillar, how comfortable is that caterpillar to just inch around the ground and eat all day? I mean, that's something I could happily do, just kind of just mosey around and graze all day long. But there takes that moment of courage, vulnerability, trust, to go into what naturally is going to happen in order to be curious enough to go, what is going to unfold? What am I going to emerge? Where is my rebirth? And then we get to have the wings that spread open. And hopefully you have that hope of triumph in all of that. Oh, Jill, it's delicious. I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, thank you for that. All right, so there's a couple of different ways to work with these readings. We hope that you're not just listening to us and being like, oh yeah, that's interesting. You know, there really is something to information without action is just entertainment. So you might want to pause this now, reflect on what came up for you, if you haven't already, on what Julia said. So when you're listening to a reading, it's between the reader and then the person being read, right? And then your inner wisdom helps you resonate with what's important for you and meaningful for you, and what you maybe put on a mental shelf, and either tuck it away and revisit it as it comes up, pay attention, or you can just say, that information's not for me, and toss it in the trash. Okay, so I'm going to add to this reading and then reflect on what I shared, what resonated with you or whatever, and then combine the two. And then it will emerge into what is most beneficial for you at this time. So with the birthing wild card, Jules covered that amazingly. So there is this birthing, this pure essence that's coming forward. It's an expansion. It's a growth energy to me, was what I'm feeling with that card. When we move to She Triumphant, just looking at the image alone, it looks like this, beautiful light is emerging from this darkness. It almost to me looks like an iceberg. And as you know, when you work with the subconscious mind, the image of an iceberg is there's only so much peeking above the water. And then there's like 90% of the actual iceberg is underneath, which is representative of the subconscious mind. So there's this emerging of the true self, this wildness that's you, this passion, this growth, this creativity that only you are here to express in the world, right? Your life purpose is to be the full expression of the truth of who and what you are, and you make your unique contribution into the world by being the authentic expression of yourself. My human design teacher, Karen Curry Parker, talks about the gates of the G, which we're not going to get into now. It's fascinating information. But basically, all of our life purpose is to be the full expression of who and what we are. How that shows up for you and how you do that in the world, that, you know, you find that, you know that, you move into that. And you're being asked to do that. Okay, great. So if that's why we're here, how come it doesn't come easy? Well, then there's conditioning, there's, you know, limiting beliefs and all this stuff, which sits in the realm of the subconscious mind. It's not a bad thing. It's there for a purpose. But when it's time to move through that and to be the light in the world that you came here to be, it can be scary for various different reasons. Rejection, you know, all of that type of mentality, right? If I'm really who I am I going to be accepted? Am I going to belong? So there's all that stuff to it, which is why the bravery card, I feel, came forward to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, it can be scary, but don't let that fear stop you. Move through that fear, tap into the bravery that's there for you, whether you do it, you know, through prayer, any type of energy work or affirmations, however you can tap into your inner bravery and move through the fear that may come up for you to shine in your light. That's what you're going to want to do. You want to see what bravery means to you, and where maybe lack of bravery might have stopped you in the past, but it doesn't need to stop you anymore. So there's that part of it. Now we jump over to the believe in sisterhood. And to me, you know, again, Julia covered that. Awesome. Being in circle or surrounded by like-minded people in the physical world is so supportive. But then what really stood out for me visually is when you look at the obstacle card, the waiting card, if we even just take away the words, the titles of those cards, you've got a group over here in the helpful energy, and then you've got this solo person over here in the obstacle energy. So are there deeper meanings to this as far as sisterhood in the waiting card? Sure. But I'm focusing mainly on it's helpful to be in a group, allowing support, like-minded people, versus going it alone. That's the obstacle. So if you've tried to do everything solo, you may want to consider getting some support. Okay. So taking that information and then moving to the rebirth card. I say this all the time. I love this card. I love that card. I really do love all of these cards. So what I love about this card is there's this rebirth. There's this this angel-like here figure. I don't have my magnifying glass on me. But I also get Phoenix energy from this rebirth, right? But look at all the chaos around here. So birth is messy and it's scary. So moving through the fear or the sludge of the subconscious, which again, that stuff is in your subconscious because at a certain point in time, it might have served you well, okay? But then it just gets heavy, and when you want to emerge from it, it can just be a little bit messy, but there's this rebirth energy. So this is a very insightful reading, and there's a lot of moving pieces to it, but the essence of it is you're ready to expand. Yes, it might look a little scary or a little messy. You're going to tap into your bravery. You're going to find like-minded support people in the world. You're going to stop going it alone necessarily, and you're going to birth into this empowered being that you are already in truth, but it's emerged now and you're standing in your true essence. So, wow, what a powerful reading. Very powerful cards. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you want to add to that, Julia?
You know, I love how you tied the obstacle and the helpful energy together. That is so incredibly powerful. And I just held them together as you were speaking, and I could see it, right? I could see going it alone and then actually merging in with a sistership. Yes. And how many times do we look at these cards and something new comes out, and then I'm noticing the leaf, more nature coming out from these, this sistership right here. So thank you so much. So beautiful. So beautiful.
Yeah, so I do actually want to add one more, just one more thing to this. So, for a lot of people, and again, this depends on human design type, we all get messages and signs in a way that's unique to us. So I personally love messages and signs. I love the way things show up and are symbolic. So if you look here at Believe in Sisterhood, and it's got the light blue border, and then the waiting card over here has a light blue border. Also, Triumphant does too. It's in the second deck. So yes, that's blue too, and I feel that's important. But I want to point out that these two cards here are the same border, which is symbolic that to me that they are going together in this essence. And then they're also the water realm, right? Blue represents water. It could also represent air. In this case, I'm feeling more water. And then Julia did mention that it is still Cancer season. So I think that's interesting. So if you work with the elements, you may want to tap into the element of water and ask if it has a very specific message for you. And if you want Julia and I to pull a water card for you, actually, I don't want to speak for you, Julia. If you want me to pull a water card for you from a different deck, I'd be happy to do so. Just write a comment below, and I'd be happy to do that. And Jules, sorry,
Yes.
didn't mean to
Yes,
put you on the spot there.
No, I think that's great. And again, just having the two holding, Jill and myself holding that space kind of keeps it in this really delicious harmony, this really nice flow for you. And to have double perspective with it is always good. So yes, I would be happy to pull a water card. We both have other decks that we work with and been certified in as well. So yeah, so good.
Awesome. So, so this is the first part of the month that we do this reading, this collective reading. And then later in the month, we do, Julia does an amazing intuitive guided meditation based on the energy frequency of the cards. And while she is doing the meditation, I do group energy work, frequency work. All frequency work to me is just divine love channeling through. In a way that supports you on your journey, helps you release what you need to release, clear what you need to clear, balance, harmonize, and expand what it is that you are ready to do in this lifetime at this time. So, all right, are we good?
I'm good. Are you good?
I'm good. I'm gonna stop this. So thank you everyone for joining us. I know this is a little bit longer, I think, than we intended to, but take your notes, see what resonates, and then see what action you can take based on the insight that you got. So it's not just entertainment, but it's actually something that you are going to use to stand in your own personal power. So, all right, goodbye everyone.
Take care.